Welcome back. It's Dr. Jen Ferboni, better known as DocJenFit, your personal doctor of physical therapy. And I want to talk about the rib being out of place, and maybe you're feeling a lot of pain with that. Now, if you've had this experience before, or you've been told your rib is out of place, what have you done for it? What have you felt? Please let me know in the comments below. I want to hear from you. And if you have more questions as we go through this video, please drop them below. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe so that you don't miss out on any future videos or past videos we've done for any pains or diagnoses within the body. Now, when it comes to ribs being out of place, we actually have a podcast on slipping ribs. And so we'll leave that somewhere around here to talk about what exactly that is. Essentially, your ribs do not go out of place, especially if you haven't been in a very traumatic accident. If all of a sudden you just started to feel this rib pain, maybe it was after an exercise, or maybe it was just random, your rib is probably not out of place. I've even had a friend who went and got an x-ray just to check and make sure, because she was told her ribs were out of place. When she got the x-ray, she actually found that is not true, because our ribs really don't go out of place. They are so secure around our spine. But what we do feel is some differences, maybe from our upper back, from our rib cage movement. And we also have some muscles and ligaments that go all around our rib cage that can cause some strains and tensions that definitely feel like our rib is going out of place. So let's do some exercises to help strengthen and stabilize around that rib cage, open it up to its full expansion and contraction, so that we get that fullness of that rib cage, how it should be moving. So we help stabilize, create more control, so that we're not feeling that pain in the long run. Now, if you have more questions about relaxing that rib cage, I also have one around chest pain, where I did a lot to relax and reduce some tension around that rib cage. So if you really are feeling just too tense to do some of these activation exercises, definitely check out that past video. And lastly, we're going to be using one of our long resistance bands from the Optimal Body Therapy Kit. So you can grab one of our kits where we have a free back plan included with it, but also a lot of the bands and tools that I recommend for a lot of my programs and a lot with my patients. Now, this first one, I'm just going to wrap this around my low rib cage here. And I want to think of how I'm expanding from my rib cage as I take a breath. So if I put a little tension into this band here, it's going to give feedback into that low rib cage, so I know where I'm breathing into. As I take a deep breath in, can I expand into that band? And as I breathe out, can I feel that band come closer together? So you should really start to feel that rib cage moving, not only from the side, but from the front, and especially from the back as well. How big of a breath you can do is really dependent on how much pain you're having. So work into this, putting a little bit of tension around that band and around that low rib cage, and working on a deeper, bigger expansion of that breath, the more that you feel that reduction in pain. Then we're going to work on some side bending and increasing that activation. So I'm going to pull this band and hold it right above me. And I want to think of reaching one hand up to the ceiling as I pull one arm down. So I'm going to get some side bend into that rib cage and then slowly come back up. So I'm working on control here, not just movement, but control. So breathe out, breathe in, control it back. And if you do this, about 10 times on each side, really slow, we're going to start to increase our movement. Maybe you can't bend that much at first because it hurts. So just go to where you can and then work on a slow return. Bend to where you can tolerate, work on a slow return. Okay. Now, not only with side bending, but we want to work on rotation around that, where the rib cage meets that upper back as well. So I'm going to come into a side or a half lunge position. Okay. Holding the band out in front of me, I'm going to rotate toward my leg that's in front. So I'm going to rotate and try to open here, and then slow on the way back. You can always make this a little bit easier by using a lighter resistance band that we have available, or not pulling so tightly. Okay. So you can kind of have a little looseness in the band, and then rotate as much as you can, and then nice and slow on that return. Trying 5 on each side. to really work on that full rotation through resistance so that we're really utilizing those muscles around the rib cage and starting to create, again, that stability of that rib cage. Last one we're going to do with the band is putting it around my upper back and having it underneath my palms here. I'm going to think of pressing the ground away. Now, I do want to hover my knees, but before I even get there, I want to think of pressing the ground away, not rounding, but I am going to be putting tension onto the band just by pushing my shoulder blades away from the ground. Okay, trying to keep that spine pretty neutral. So trying not to drop, trying not to round, but find that in between. Press against the ground. And then if you feel good there and you don't feel any pain, you can hover those knees, take a big breath into that band and relax. Big breath into that band and exhale. Okay. And now we're using a little bit more of that core contraction to utilize up into what's happening on that expansion of that rib cage. Again, all of these are used to help to increase that stability and that support, especially when we feel like a rib is out of place. We want to get more motion in that rib cage. We want to add more stability so that now when we go back into exercise and doing the things that we love, we're not going to feel so much tension or like things are slipping out of place. Don't forget, if you love what you're learning, I have so much more in stock for you. So hit that subscribe button, check out the other videos I've done in the past, and leave any comments of any suggestions that you have for videos in the future. And I can't wait to help you feel incredible and amazing within your body.